Random Thoughts on Random Dogs, an essay by John Steinbeck. A very wise man, writing recently about the emergence and development of our species, suggests that the domestication of the dog was of equal importance with the use of fire to first man. Through association with the dog, man doubled his perceptions, and besides this, the dog, sleeping at dawn man's feet, let him get a little rest undisturbed by creeping animals. The uses of the dog change. One of the first treatises on dogs in English was written by an abbess or a prioress in a great religious house. She lists the ban dog, the harrier, the dog from Spain called spaniel and used for reclaiming wounded birds, the dogs of venery, etc. And finally she says, "There been no small white doggies carried by ladies to draw the fleas away to their cells." What wisdom was here? The lapdog was not a decoration, but a necessity. A dog has, in our day, changed his function. Of course, we still have hounds used for the chase and greyhounds for racing, and the pointers, setters, and spaniels for their intricate professions. But in our total dog population, these are the minority. Many dogs are used as decorations, but by far the greatest number are a sop for loneliness, a man's or a woman's confidant, an audience for the shy, a child to the childless. In the streets of New York, between 7 and 9 in the morning, you will see the slow procession of dog and owner proceeding from street to tree to hydrant to trash basket. They are apartment dogs. They are taken out twice a day, and, while it is cliché, it is truly amazing how owner and dog resemble each other. They grow to walk alike, have the same set of head. In America, styles in dogs change. A few years ago, the Airedale was most popular. Now it is the Cocker, but the Poodle is coming up. 1,000 years ago, I can remember when the Pug was everywhere. In America, we tend to breed out non-working dogs to extremes. We breed collies with their heads so long and narrow that they can no longer find their way home. The ideal dachshund is so long and low that his spine sags. Our Doberman are paranoid. We have developed a Boston Bull with a head so large that the pups can only be born by cesareans. It is not wise to mourn for the apartment dog. His lifespan is nearly twice that of the country dog. His boredom is probably many times greater. One day I got in a cab and gave the address of an animal store. The driver asked, "Is it a dog you're after?" "'Cause I can let you have a dog. I got dogs." "It's not a dog, but how is it you have dogs?" "It's this way," the cabbie said. "It's Saturday night in an apartment, and a man and his wife were lapping up a scoop of gin. About midnight, they get to arguing. She says, 'You're a damn dog. Who has to clean up after him and walk him and feed him, and you just come home and pat him on the head?' And the guy says, 'Don't you run down my dog.' 'I hate him,' she says. 'Okay, pal,' he says. 'If that's the way you want it, come on, Spot.' And he and the dog hit the street. The guy sits on a bench and holds the mutt in his arms and cries, and then the two of them go to a bar, and the guy tells everybody there no dame could treat his pal that way. Well, pretty soon they close the bar, and it's late, and the liquor begins to wear off, and the guy wants to go home. So he gets in the cab and gives the dog to the cabbie. It happens to me every Saturday night. I have owned some astonishing dogs. One I remember with pleasure was a very large English setter. He saw things unknowable. He would bark at a tree by the hour, but only at one tree. In grape season, he ate nothing but grapes, which he picked off the vine, one grape at a time. In pear season, he subsisted on windfall pears, but he would not touch an apple. Over the years, he became more and more otherworldly. I think he finally came to disbelieve in people. He thought he dreamed them. He gathered all the dogs in the neighborhood and gave them silent lectures or sermons, and one day he focused his attention on me for a full 5 minutes, and then he walked away. I heard of him from different parts of the state. People tried to get him to stay, but in a day or so he would wander on. It is my opinion that he was a seer, and that he had become a missionary. His name was T-Dog. Long later, and 100 miles away, I saw a sign painted on a fence which said, T-God. I am convinced that he had transposed the letters of his last name and gone out into the world to carry his message to all the dogs thereof. I have owned all kinds of dogs, but there is one I have always wanted and never had. I wonder if he still exists. There used to be in the world a white English bull terrier. He was stocky but quick. His muzzle was pointed and his eyes triangular so that his expression was that of cynical laughter. He was friendly and not quarrelsome, but forced into a fight, he was very good at it. He had a fine, decent sense of himself and was never craven. He was a thoughtful, inward dog, and yet he had enormous curiosity. He was heavy of bone and shoulder, had a fine arch to his neck. His ears were sometimes cropped, but his tail never. He was a good dog for a walk, an excellent dog to sleep beside a man's bed. He showed a delicacy of sentiment. I have always wanted one of him. I wonder whether he still exists in the world.